Arriving with the release of Renegades are 3 brand new exotic weapons as well as 33 new and refreshed legendary weapons, and Bungie was kind enough to allow me to come out to their headquarters to try them out early so that I can show them to you. If you want to see more early Renegades content like the new exotic and legendary armor, new activities, and more, you can find all of my early Renegades coverage in the description down below. Let's kick things off with the one I already know that you want to see, the Praxic Blade. Whilst most things in Renegades are Star Wars inspired TM, this bad boy is a lightsaber through and through in the best way possible. It's a kinetic special ammo sword with a traditional light attack functionality. However, the heavy swing is extremely unique to Destiny in that it will throw the sword to ricochet from target to target. Another very cool feature of the Praxic Blade is that the block, of course, deflects bullets. It still utilizes sword energy as you are blocking, so you unfortunately can't just run around and deflect forever, but the bullets that you do return to their senders will land for a handsome amount of damage, unlike other deflection things we have had in Destiny in the past. Blight Ranger. What's more is that this thing is probably the most customizable exotic weapon that we have ever had in Destiny, especially from a cosmetic perspective. And whilst I unfortunately can't show you all of the customization options today, as Bungie wanted to keep that a fun secret to be discovered on launch day, all I can say is that you really have a rather large spectrum of customization to choose from. Sticking with Star Wars inspired exotics, the Heirloom Exotic Solar Crossbow is the first ever special ammo crossbow and the first ever exotic special ammo weapon that utilizes heat and venting as opposed to reloading. This puppy fires high-powered explosive bolts that can overcharge while aimed down sights, increasing the damage and area of effect of the blast for each level that you charge it. An uncharged shot will run you up to about 16% heat, while a fully charged shot will clock about 50%. We'll talk more about the specifics of heat and venting and whatnot once we get to the legendary blasters, but just know that overall this bowcaster feels pretty fun and pretty solid to use. The final exotic that I got to try while out there is the Service of Luzaku Exotic Strand Machine Gun from the Season Pass. This one is particularly interesting, being able to both obviously deal damage and heal allies with hip fire, similar to the healing frame auto rifles. The real cool part about this machine gun though is its meaning-making trait, which on final blows with the weapon can create threadling nests that periodically spawn threadlings. Final blows with this weapon near an existing threadling nest will create threadlings instead as well. Furthermore, with the dichotomous thinking intrinsic trait, hip firing at allies to heal them does not expend ammo from the machine gun, refills its magazine from reserves, grants bonus weapon damage, and spawns threadlings out of your allies. And you can also use the machine gun's hipfire healing on your threadling nests to heal and increase the duration that they last. By doing this properly, you can have multiple threadling nests on the battlefield up at the same time, all constantly spewing out their own sets of threadlings. Needless to say that this weapon has the potential to be an absolute powerhouse on any threadling-based build with ease. Simply chuck on the Thread of Evolution for bonus threadling damage, and you're off to the threadling races. Now, Renegades is also bringing a minimum of 33 new and reprised legendary weapons, and I say minimum because there are more weapons that we were not permitted to see and or capture footage of. Starting off with the blasters, these weapons function somewhat similar to the 3rd iteration exotic scout rifle that we received in the Edge of Fate, but with significantly more intuitive HUD prompts. The 2 types of blaster frames that we have in Renegades are balanced heat weapons and dynamic heat weapons. Balanced heat weapons generate low heat on shot and vent significantly faster when manually venting at high heat, aka what is referred to in-game as a perfect vent. Dynamic heat weapons, on the other hand, have a higher base damage, generate high heat per shot, but cool down more rapidly between shots. You can tell how hot the weapon is getting by either looking at the meter on your ammo bar, the indicator underneath your reticle when hip firing, or the gauges on the scopes while aiming down sights. Additionally, alongside blaster weapons come 3 brand new blaster specific perks in Cooling Baubles, which reduces heat on elemental pickup or Orb of Power collection, Delicate Tuning, which provides increased range, handling, and accuracy while at low heat, and finally Thermal Atomization, which grants the weapon increased damage and causes targets to explode when defeated at high heat. How much bonus damage and how high the heat has has to be for it to occur exactly, I am unfortunately unsure, but if it's anything notable, it's definitely a perk to keep your eye out for. As far as specific weapons go, we kick off the blaster class of weapons with the M17 Fast Talker 900 RPM balanced stasis submachine gun, an homage to my personal favorite weapon in the Star Wars universe, the DC-17M carried by Republic Clone Commandos. Make sure to drop a like for Delta Squad down below if you know what I'm talking about. This thing absolutely slings lasers, and a lot of them, before having to vent too, thanks to its low heat generation, and with perks like Attrition Orbs and Demolitionist in Column 1, alongside options like Thermal, Kill Clip, Target Lock, or Master of Arms in Column 2, it can definitely pack a punch. You've also got the option of Crystalline Corpse Bloom in Column 2 as well, for some stasis build crafting synergy if you'd like. Now, if you're a fan of Andor, then you'll love the modified B7, a 180 RPM stasis dynamic hand cannon, heating up quite a bit per shot, but cooling off on its own even quicker. Unless you are holding down the trigger on this one for like literally 10 full seconds, you will never have to manually vent this weapon. As such, I'd steer you away from reload perks like Rapid Hit in favor of things like Demolitionist and Firefly, and opting into something like Thermal Atomization in Column 2. Alternatively, if you want to do some stasis buildcraft synergy with this weapon, trades like Rhyme Stealer, Crystalline Corpse Bloom, and Headstone will enable you to do just that. For those of you who are into Boba Fett and Bounty Hunters, you will absolutely enjoy the all-or-nothing 540 RPM Strand Dynamic Pulse Rifle. Just pretend that it has that scope on top if you really care about authenticity. Now, despite being a dynamic heat weapon, this one definitely heats up a lot more quickly compared to some of the other dynamic options. As such, traits like Perpetual Motion in Column 1 can feel quite nice, especially if you are rocking with Desperado or Kill Clip in Column 2. Some strand synergy options also include the usual suspects in Slice, Tear, and Hatchling. As far as super long-range options go, we have the Conspiracy-honed 140 RPM Stasis Dynamic Sniper Rifle. Although to be genuine, I wasn't feeling too in love with it in the few activities that I got to try it out. Sure, you can get perk combinations like Vorpal Weapon and Bait and Switch or Firing Line on it for a double damage perk setup, which if I'm not mistaken has not existed on any previous special ammo sniper, which is something to be said, but I think this will be a very niche pick from a meta perspective. Still feels cool and sounds cool though. A weapon I thoroughly enjoyed though was the Voltaic Shade 260 RPM Arc Balanced Scout Rifle, which similar to the M17 SMG could fire off a lot of rounds before having to vent, at which time you can land a perfect vent thanks to the balanced frame for a significantly faster vent time. For perks, having things like Jolting Feedback in conjunction with Frenzy or Precision Instrument can really make this thing pack a punch with the combination of bonus damage and jolting effects. For more firing uptime, you can also roll with something like Rapid Hit alongside Volt Shot or Rolling Storm to maintain jolting or Volt Charge capabilities. One of the weapons I think everyone is going to want to get their hands on is the Han Solo inspired Uncivil Discourse 180 RPM Arc Dynamic Special Ammo hand cannon. Basically think of a fast-firing legendary arc Ariana's Vow. This thing gets hot rather quick, but due to its dynamic frame in conjunction with the fact that it's special ammo, you'll likely just pull it out to sling a few shots at a tankier target and then just switch back to a primary while this thing passively cools down in your pocket. Whilst its first column perks aren't anything too exciting, with Air Trigger probably being the best pick, the second column offering things like Precision Instrument or Frenzy for bonus damage or Jolting Feedback for jolting capabilities are rather nice. Now, one of my favorite weapons that I got to try was the Imperial Stormtrooper inspired Zealous Ideal 450 RPM Solar Balanced Auto Rifle. Being a balanced frame, hitting perfect vents on this thing is going to be crucial for maximum firing uptime, which you'll absolutely want considering some of the traits you can get on this thing to make it absolutely sling lasers. Notable picks will be Heal Clip or Attrition Orbs in Column 1, alongside things like One for All, all, Incandescent, or the one I was having the most fun with, Onslaught in column 2. Seriously, with a fully stacked Onslaught on this weapon, it absolutely lights everything up. It's also worth noting that reload activation perks like Heal Clip feel amazing on blasters, as simply activating the vent will trigger the perk, meaning that you don't even need to rip a full reload to proc Heal Clip. Rather, just initiate a vent to proc the perk, after which you can immediately sprint cancel it to keep on firing. Heal Clip with Onslaught is going to be what I am personally going for on this one. Now, if you watched Star Wars The Clone Wars back as a kid, and then another 9 times as an adult like I did, then you're going to be happy to see the clone minigun inspired Bitter End as a 900 RPM arc balanced heavy machine gun. Aptly named, by the way, the Bitter End is RIP Heavy and Commander Thorn. They really did this one justice on behalf of them though, because this weapon is absolutely awesome. It's got a lot of great perks, but one I want to highlight out of the gate is the Trickle Charge trait that can refund the ammo from reserves on activations of Bolt Charge, or in the case of heat weapons, will lower their heat. Shout out to Evan F, who showed me that if you drop a Storm's Keep Titan Barricade down, you can unload every single round in this machine gun without having to vent or take your foot off the gas for a single second. It's really fun. Other notable perk choices include Attrition Orbs in column 1, as well as Jolting Feedback, Killing Tally, Frenzy, or One for All in column 2. Seriously though, that Trickle Charge is an absolute beast. Pair it up with Killing Tally to take out 3 trash mobs for the 30% damage bonus before dropping your Bolt Charge Barricade to empty all of your reserves with that damage bonus applied permanently, and you'll rinse absolutely anything. The first of the blasters that I unfortunately did not like one bit was the Compact Defender 360 RPM Void Dynamic Sidearm. This thing just overheated so fast, and whilst it does cool down faster in between shots due to its dynamic frame, it felt like I was venting this thing more often than I was firing it. That being said, it did hit relatively hard compared to other primary weapons, and with an optional destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace combo, it can synergize very well with Void builds. You'll just need to keep a very close eye on that heat meter at all times with this one. The High Tyrant is a 540 RPM Void balanced frame pulse rifle that had me feeling very whelmed. I wouldn't say that I disliked this weapon, but I certainly didn't enjoy it more than things like the M17 or the Zealous Ideal. Its perk selection is rather nice though, with things like the Stabilizing Rounds, Rapid Hit, and Demolitionist in column 1, alongside Frenzy in column 2. You can also get some interesting Void synergy combos with Repulsor Brace in column 1, alongside Withering Gaze or Demoralize in column 2. Now, if you're into the Mandalorian, then you'll be very pleased to see the refurbished A499, which is a 72 RPM heavy ammo kinetic sniper rifle that fires a single heavy hitting round that disintegrates targets on impact. This thing was extremely fun to use. Whether or not it'll be a particularly meta pick, I'm unsure, but it definitely hit like a truck in the content that we were playing. For perks, you'll probably want to go with Outlaw on here for faster reloads, since it does only hold 1 round at a time, along with Envious Assassin, Ambitious Assassin, or even Box Breathing in column 2. You can also opt into auto-loading holster in column 2 to circumvent the reload altogether while you switch to your primary and special ammo weapons in the meantime. Now, as much as I hate battle droids, and frankly all separatist scum, their swords are pretty cool and are the inspiration for the Sullen Claw lightweight frame sword. What's interesting about this one is that this is the first ever lightweight sword to be able to roll with the Eager Edge trait. Unsure if that will open the door for any formerly impossible skating tech, but man, I really hope it does. Other notable perks include Relentless Strikes or Vorpal Weapon in column 1, alongside Bait and Switch or Whirlwind Blade in column 2. Interestingly, you can also roll Repulsor Brace into stabilizing rounds on this as well, maybe an angle for a stylish Executioner Void Hunter Invis sword build. I guess we'll see. Even though that is all of the blasters, I think this next weapon will excite many who have been enjoying the Mint Retrograde Rocket Pulse Rifle, as we now have an energy slot rocket pulse option in the Psi Eterna 4, which is a 200 RPM arc rocket pulse rifle. Unfortunately though, the column 1 perk options definitely leave a lot to be desired, even though you can get One for All in column 2 for the 35% damage bonus. I think they tried to dial it back with the perks on this one after they they realized that rewind rounds with bait and switch was kind of a beast on Min Retrograde. Nevertheless, it's nice to have a rocket pulse option in the energy slot now. An extremely interesting weapon coming in Renegades is the Peculiar Charm 600 RPM kinetic 4-round burst SMG. Yeah, you heard me right, it's a 4-round burst submachine gun. Based on the decal of the weapon, I'm almost positive that this is going to be some sort of PvP based acquisition, maybe the competitive playlist perhaps, but that's not to say that it won't be a beast in PvE. Right out of the gate, I am excited about perk combinations like Rapid Hit or Attrition Orbs alongside Desperado for a ludicrous fire rate and weapon uptime or orb generation. For what it's worth, I also heard from some of the PvP players at the event that this weapon does indeed feel pretty decent in PvP as well, if that tickles your fancy. Now, if you're a fan of the new primary ammo shotgun hand cannon archetype, then you'll be pleased to hear about the new Sarpedon D 100 RPM arc spread shot hand cannon. It functions as you'd expect, similar to the Aureus Neutralizer and the Fenutria Ferris spread shot hand cannons that arrived in the Edge of Fate, but with perks like Volt Shot in the second column, it's bringing something new to the table in the spread shot hand cannon form factor. The something is a brand new 72 RPM kinetic special ammo sniper rifle, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, absolutely nothing about this weapon excites me in a PvE context. Maybe it'll be decent in PvP, I'm not sure, it's not really my forte, but yeah, this is one that you can probably skip on for the most part if you're a PvE player primarily. Getting a reissue in Renegades is the Hawthorne's Field Forge shotgun in an 80 RPM stasis lightweight frame form factor. Generally speaking, I wouldn't say that I am too excited for this in PvE looking at the perk list. However, there is the angle to do something funky with it, seeing that chill clip option in column 2 alongside lead from gold or slide shot in column 1. The first time these combinations are possible on a non-slug shotgun. Still, this would probably be a rather niche pick in PvE settings. The original Chill Clip Superstar Riptide Stasis Fusion Rifle is also getting a reissue with Renegades, and although it doesn't have anything too novel or exciting on it, I think players will be plenty fine with just being able to get a new gear-eligible Tier 5 variant of the classic auto-loading holster and Chill Clip combo. Other than that though, there is sadly just not too much exciting stuff going on with the revised perk pool. The Moss Athanor 4 is a 120 RPM void hand cannon that unfortunately does not excite me too much when it comes to its PvE perk selection. Sure, this thing can roll with the stabilizing rounds in column 1 and precision instrument in column 2, which isn't too bad for PvE, but generally speaking, there are just a lot better options when it comes to PvE primary ammo weapons, leaving me thinking that this one was designed more so with PvP in mind. The Evening SI4 is a brand new 3-round burst solar sidearm with some honestly not half bad perk options on it. Heel clip in column 1 can be particularly nice considering the quick reload speed of sidearms, alongside the good old incandescent in column 2 for superb solar build crafting synergies. For those who like sidearms, this is definitely going to be a welcome addition. The Horror's least 540 RPM arc pulse rifle is getting a refresh after all these years and arriving with some potentially interesting, but albeit very niche PvE roles. Supercharged magazine in the first column could prove a little interesting on arc or prismatic builds by gradually transferring ammo from reserves to your magazine while amplified for larger effective mag size, in conjunction with jolting feedback or frenzy in column 2 for more overall damage. Not something I'd imagine anyone will be actively chasing for, but not a horrible thing to keep around in the vault either. The Qua Vinctus 4 is a 360 RPM strand heavy machine gun that sports a few somewhat decent perk combinations and provides us with a new gear tiered strand machine gun option. For more strand centric builds, you can roll with a typical slice or hatchling along with pair combination, or for a more all-purpose utilization, you can slot in Demolitionist alongside Killing Tally. The 86 is a brand new strand vortex frame sword, and I'm gonna be completely 100% honest, this thing does not interest me one bit. That's kind of it. There's really no perk combinations that excite me on this one. Let's go to the next weapon. Joining the heavy crossbow family is a good shout as the first ever Void crossbow. I'm going to be 1000% honest, I don't really use crossbows all that much, so I have absolutely no clue if the perk options coming with this one are noteworthy at all, so I'll simply let you have a look at the list and trust you to make up your own mind as to whether or not this crossbow interests you. The Nox Side Reel 4 is a brand new aggressive frame, horizontally firing stasis fusion rifle, which, to be completely honest, isn't too exciting in my opinion. That's not to say that it doesn't have any good perks. It does have some neat options, I suppose, like Frenzy and Reservoir Burst, but generally speaking, energy fusion rifles just aren't hitting the mark in PvE these days. The Monody 44 high impact Void fusion rifle is a bit of a similar story, which even though it can roll with repulsor brace and the stabilizing rounds, or something like attrition orbs with controlled burst, I'm just not too sold on energy fusion rifles in the current PvE meta. A weapon that does have me excited though is the Motif 41 Solar Area Denial Special Ammo Grenade Launcher. We already have one in literally every other element, so it's nice to have a solar one arrive, especially considering that it comes with perks like auto-loading holster in column 1, alongside options like incandescent or attrition orbs in column 2. It also just looks really cool, to be honest, to paint fire absolutely everywhere. Another reprised weapon arriving in Renegades is the Oxygen SR3 as a 180 RPM solar energy scout rifle. I actually loved the Oxygen back in the day when it was originally introduced as a ritual I think they were still called pinnacle weapons back then, actually. But sadly, it's just been kind of eclipsed as the years have gone by. Heel Clip or Rapid Hit in column 1, alongside things like Burning Ambition or One for All in column 2 could prove to be decent rolls, but I just think there are better options in the primary ammo scout rifle department at the current moment. A brand new Trials of Osiris weapon coming in Renegades is the Corundum Hammer 140 RPM Strand hand cannon, and with the same model as weapons like the Fatebringer, I'm automatically interested. It's not too shabby with its PvE perk selection, either being able to have Firefly in column 1 alongside Explosive Payload or Precision Instrument in column 2, but wait a minute, Firefly and Explosive Payload? Ah, I see. They made a Strand Fatebringer that you can get through PvP. Nice. Also joining the brand new Trials of Osiris weapon loot pool is the Martlet 450 RPM Void Pulse Rifle. And aside from looking rather pretty with its Trials decal in my personal opinion, it also comes with some decent PvE perk combinations. Notable options will be Repulsor Brace or Firefly in column 1, alongside Destabilizing Rounds or Desperado in column 2. Is it worth playing Trials for if you don't normally like PvP? Probably not, but if you do happen to stumble across a well-rolled one, not a horrible thing to keep either. Returning from the Trials of Osiris is the Astral Horizon 55 RPM Kinetic Shotgun, although it's sadly not sporting any particularly good PvE roll options aside from 1-2 punch in the second column. To be frank, there are simply better shotguns to run in the top slot if you're going for a shotgun-based PvE build, so I'd say leave this one alone for those purposes. The Immortal, returning as its 720 RPM Strand SMG self, could however offer a little bit more when it comes to PvE, considering that it has a few PvE build perk options like Hatchling or Attrition Orbs in column 1, alongside Demolitionist in column 2. That being said, 900 RPM SMGs are generally speaking better for PvE, so this will be a so-so pick at the current moment at best. Finally, we welcome back the Cataphract GL3 as a 120 RPM Strand Heavy Grenade Launcher that we loved so much back in the times of Pantheon raid boss DPS meta. With the option of Envious Assassin and Bait and Switch as a possible role, you'll definitely want to keep one of these around should you ever stumble across one. And that is every single weapon that I had the pleasure of trying out at Bungie HQ. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.